AITA for leaving my in-laws' house with my daughter after she told me she was feeling uncomfortable. I am 37, have been with my fiancé F37 for 2 years. We're getting married soon. I've only met her family a couple of times. My daughter, Judy, F16, has never met them till very recently, where they hosted dinner to celebrate 4th of July, and that's when they met her for the first time. Judy has a visible burn scar on her forehead. It was due to an accident she was in when she was 9. She used to be incredibly insecure about it, to the point where I was forced to homeschool her, and it was hard trying to deal with and navigate through this rough time. Now she's doing a lot better, though some comments can really cause her to become stressed out and anxious. My fiancé knows all that and respects it. Before we went to her parents' house, I asked her to tell them about Judy and her struggle and get to try and not say anything negative about it or possibly mention it. She said she would guarantee no one will say anything. We got to the event and they talked to Judy and she slowly warmed up to them. Everything was going well till I was dinner time. My FMIL looked at Judy while she was eating and pointed at her scar, basically asking questions about it, which made Judy lose her appetite and start to get uncomfortable. I kept sending my fiancé and her mom signs to knock it off, but to no avail. Finally, FMIL then brought up the wedding and asked my fiancé if it'd be possible to Photoshop the scar out of any wedding photos that will have Judy in them, just in case they distract viewers. I was dumbfounded. Fiancé said nothing, just stared casually while nodding. I looked at Judy and it was clear this got to her. I leaned closer and asked if she was feeling uncomfortable and that we could leave if the answer was yes. She took her time, then nodded and said, "Yes. I'm feeling uncomfortable right now." I got up and told her to get ready cause we were leaving. My fiancé, her mom and the family started insisting we finish dinner and stay, but I refused. I took Judy and got in the car and left before even talking to my fiancé. Obviously, she was pissed. She called and was angry, talking about how I disrespected her parents by taking Judy and leaving in the middle of dinner and not even saying goodbye. I told her that Judy was feeling uncomfortable with FMIL's comments and questions. She said Judy overreacted and is in need to go back to therapy if a simply mention of her scar caused her to react that way. I got tired of arguing and asked her to give us some time, but she went on me and said that I have no respect for her and her family and that what I did was irrational, and now she won't speak to me till I clear things up with her family after ruining their celebratory dinner. NTA. Never ta for removing your child from a situation where they are uncomfortable and marginalized by. Edit to add. Your fiancé lacks empathy and basic respect for your daughter. She called and was angry, talking about how I disrespected her parents by taking Judy and leaving in the middle of dinner and not even saying goodbye. What about being angry that her parents pointed out at the dinner table during their very first meeting a feature on your daughter's face that happens to be a major insecurity, and suggested to digitally alter it to better suit the photos? Like, WTF. If she really cannot see the issue here and is saying you are the one being disrespectful, you need to seriously consider that moving forward. NTA. Good for you for being there for your child. Your FMIL recommended digitally altering your daughter's face in wedding photos to avoid distracting people, yet you're the one who disrespected her. Your fiancé should have stood up for you and your daughter. You're uncategorically NTA. In fact, you did a great thing in supporting your daughter. NTA. And this is your problem right here. Before we went to her parents' house, I asked her to tell them about Judy and her struggle and get to try and not say anything negative about it or possibly mention it. She said she would guarantee no one will say anything. Why didn't your fiancé speak up and say something? Especially after guaranteeing that no one would say anything? You need to have a serious talk with her about this. She should have been the one putting her mother in place. What your FMIL said beyond rude. Especially the photoshopping comment. It sounds like your fiancé agrees with her family and their treatment of your daughter. Serious red flags here that time to re-evaluate this relationship. NTA and your fiancé's mother needs to apologize. Who points to someone, especially a child's face, and goes, "Wow, that scar is ugly, hope we can Photoshop her face in the wedding photos." NTA. But you will definitely be a giant asshole if you marry this woman who bullies your daughter and lets her parents do it too. NTA. Sadly, you just got a glimpse on how your marital life is going too. Wife will make promises and then she and her family will just say whatever crass cruel thing they feel like. If this is how they are going to treat you daughter at first meeting, imagine how it will be later. If it were me, they could Photoshop the whole dang wedding. Oh, op. Your fiancé has shown her true colors. She doesn't in fact care about your daughter. If she did, she would have realized that your FMIL suggesting you Photoshop out the scar so it doesn't distract is hella insulting. If I were you, I'd rethink the wedding and that family. They owe you and Judy the apology, not the other way around. NTA. NTA. Don't marry this woman. If she won't stick up for your daughter and realize how insensitive her mother's comments were, then it doesn't sound like she's ready to be a stepmother. If I were you, I would put your daughter first. NTA. She wasn't just mentioning the scar. She was asking questions about it after being told not to talk about it at all. And it was beyond offensive to ask if it could be photoshopped out of wedding pics. NTA. You made it clear that the scar was a topic not to be discussed and they all ignored you. Might be worth rethinking your engagement. NTA. Think carefully about marrying this woman. She's loving and supporting when around you and Judy. She isn't when she's with her family. She took their side when she should have stuck up for Judy. If she can flip sides that easily, there's a big problem. Definitely NTA. Your daughter comes first before unrelated extended family. You asked your fiancé to take care of it beforehand. She didn't. If she did talk to them beforehand, then your in-laws don't have respect for you or your daughter enough to respect your wishes. Your daughter is beautiful as she is, and no one, repeat, no one, has the right to humiliate her at her expense. If anything, your daughter will learn at therapy that respect starts at home and she should feel secure with her family and not uncomfortable. I find that disrespectful to you and your daughter. Clearly this needs to be resolved before the marriage. Who verbally attacks a 16-year-old for a scar? Their ta. Edit. Typo on he, she. I wish you and Judy perfect grilled cheeses, perfectly ripe strawberries, and soup in just the right temperature for the rest of your lives. Not only did you show Judy she will always be top priority in your life, you also made it very clear she truly can depend on you in troubling times. You had her back, and for that you deserve proper recognition. She will remember this always when she finds herself in uncomfortable situations, gatherings, parties. And you'll rescue her. You don't see a dad that great every day. NTA, and your fiancé definitely is. You caught a glimpse into your future. She not only allowed Judy's mistreatment, but is telling you both to move past it. What other situations will she insist you and Judy to just get past? Classical story of, are you sure you want to marry this person? Quote. You warned your fiancé, brought it up as a specific topic of concern. She encouraged you everything would be fine and then disregarded it completely. No attempts on her side to change the topic or stand up for your daughter. But hey, what you did is admirable, and it's great that your daughter has an ally in you. You do have a gaslighter fiancé though. Utter NTA. Your fiancé made a commitment to you and your daughter and it was completely ignored. I think you need to have a very serious talk about this and future commitments with her. And for good measure, I'd be having a brief chat with the future in-laws. To the effect of, "Hi there. Your words and actions toward my daughter recently were totally unacceptable. And it's my understanding you were told of the sensitivity of the situation beforehand. I will be part of your family in the future. I will be treating your sensitive issues with discretion and gentleness because I care for and respect your family. I expect that to be reciprocated. If you are unable to treat my daughter with sensitivity, discretion and respect, then I will have to carefully consider what exposure she and I have to you. I am ready to hear your apology, if you have one to give. NTA, but do not marry that woman. She will destroy your daughter's mental state. NTA. 1. Fiancé let the comments go unchecked. She said she would guarantee no one will say anything. Fiancé failed on her guarantee and even as a second chance to hold up her guarantee by intervening. After the FMIL started zoning in on the scar, she let it continue to its climax. Clearly FMIL escalated to the Photoshop comment because nobody disapproved of the ongoing comments. And even then, fiancé said nothing, just stared casually while nothing. 2. FMIL is extremely rude and inconsiderate. FMIL then brought up the wedding and asked my fiancé if it'd be possible to Photoshop the scar out of any wedding photos that will have Judy in them just in case they distract viewers. Quote, "Even with a 9-year-old child that wasn't plagued by insecurity would find this hurtful and offensive." 3. Fiancé steps in to blame you and your daughter. She called and was angry, talking about how I disrespected her parents by taking Judy and leaving in the middle of dinner and not even saying goodbye. I told her that Judy was feeling uncomfortable with FMIL's comments and questions. She said Judy overreacted and is in need to go back to therapy if a simply mention of her scar caused her to react that way. Fiancé is silent while FMIL is raining a parade of offensive comments that were explicitly advised against before the event, but is quick to jump to action and accuse you when you leave. Where was this enthusiasm before? I admire how you and your daughter reacted. She didn't immediately storm out but took time to gauge her feelings. Very healthy response from both of you. This is 100% not okay. Your fiancé does not love your daughter. No one would tolerate such a hurtful comment without correcting it, even gently if she thought it was a joke. NTA. NTA, overreacting, would include things like, "Can we Photoshop out this horrible scar so that the wedding is perfect for our dear princess daughter?" What were the next questions going to be? Can your daughter wear a ton of makeup? Or, can we just keep her out of the photos or maybe put her to the side so we can edit her out of the photos? Or, can we make her stay home and not let her come to the wedding cause her being there will ruin everything? Seriously. Throw the fiancé out with the bathwater. She had 2 chances to redeem herself. She could have asked her mother to mind her own business in a diplomatic way, or she could have told her mother to shut up. She chose neither, which means she will never pick your daughter. Get your ring back and move on because they will torment your child from here forward. Take it from another person with a facial scar that makes them self-conscious.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.